Welcome to the Urantia book. If you have clicked on this video, then I commend you. You have taken time out of your day and your life to dwell your mind onto spirituality and God. Imagine all of the distractions that you had to sift through in this world in order to spend even 10 minutes contemplating God and spirituality. Well, the universe is definitely shining upon you for making that choice, and it is being noted. So, if you're new to the Urantia book, this is a revelation of truth by advanced celestial beings. Don't take my word for it. Read it for yourself, but really truly read it. Give it a chance. Read maybe 3 of these papers and come away with it refreshed, intellectually illuminated, and spiritually uplifted. So we're looking at this paper called The Universal Father, page 25. This is in our read-through here. We're going a little out of order, but we're checking out this part called God is a Universal Spirit. So remember, read this with an open mind and just relax, sit back. And remember, the first part of this paper is a little bit biblical, right? They're using terms like Universal Father. They might even quote some things from the Bible in here, but it gets into some really searing information right here in the last paragraph. So let's just have a go at this and we'll see how we do. Also, thanks to everybody who's liking, subscribing, participating. I appreciate your comments. The constructive criticisms are always nice. People that are just, saying, I don't know about that. But what don't you know about? Say something like, well, I read that part that said God is love. I didn't agree with that. I thought I was supposed to fear God or something. Give something tangible about what you didn't agree with. And then we can have a discussion about it. The Universal Father. God is a universal spirit. God is spirit. He is a universal spiritual presence. The Universal Father is an infinite spiritual reality. He is the sovereign, eternal, immortal, invisible, and only true God. That must be a quote from the Bible. I don't know where these quotes are from. They just give them. I assume the Bible, depending on how they sound. Even though you are the, quote, offspring of God, you ought not to think that the Father is like yourselves in form and physique, because you are said to be created, quote, in his image, indwelt by mystery monitors, dispatched from the central abode of his eternal presence. Okay, so mystery monitors, remember, that's what their term is for the spirit that lives within you. Your spirit, your personal fragment of God. They call it mystery monitors and thought adjusters. That is what they mean when they say you're created in God's image. It's because you have a spirit fragment within you. It doesn't mean like God needs to tweeze his eyebrows also because of XYZ, but so that's what they mean, in his image. Spirit beings are real, notwithstanding they are invisible to human eyes, even though they have not flesh and blood. So it's not etheric, beings passing through things, not tangible spirituality. They're real entities. Said the seer of old, lo, he goes by me, and I see him not. He passes on also, but I perceive him not. Okay, this is all around us. We may constantly observe the works of God. We may be highly conscious of the material evidences of his majestic conduct, but rarely may we gaze upon the visible manifestation of his divinity, not even to behold the presence of his delegated spirit of human indwelling. So you don't even see the spirit within you, let alone the actual central Godhead. It's almost like that concept they say that the last thing that a fish discovers in his whole entire life is water, because he's just so enveloped by it, he doesn't even know. The Universal Father is not invisible because he is hiding himself away from the lowly creatures of materialistic handicaps and limited spiritual endowments. The situation rather is, you cannot see my face, for no mortal can see me and live. No material man could behold the Spirit God and preserve his mortal existence, the glory and the spiritual brilliance of the divine personality presence. So this quote here, you cannot see my face, for no mortal man can see me and live, It's like if they were to actually give you truth, it would sear you apart like a laser beam. If it was to be, I mean, we're getting it in this, you know, mental form here through the reading this book, and you know, you can assimilate that into your spirituality. But if you ever have a spiritual experience, then you will know for 100% certain that one, God is real, and two, the power and immensity of it. But the universe doesn't just arbitrarily bestow those spiritual experiences unless somebody's doing their step to reach up and earn them through exchanging vice for virtue. Because if your mind is out of order and you get a little glimpse of spiritual truth, you know, I'm talking, I don't mean just reading something in a book. I mean having like one of those world-changing, profound, life-changing, even they call it a Kundalini awakening, which they say like your brain waves are all functioning on this different level or something. But even that is just child's play. That Kundalini awakening, you can even mistake a Kundalini awakening for a metaphysical experience, and they often do. But when you have a true spiritual, what's the word? Contact with this, and you're just contacting the fragment within you. You're not even contacting the central God, and hopefully you've had them. But it can happen. It can happen. Let's see. The glory of spiritual. If you didn't, I just want to just harp on this one more time. If you weren't a mind of perfect poise, housed in a body of clean habits, and you got that glimpse, then you would do something like start a cult or something, you know, unbalanced like that. Because you get a glimpse, you're like, holy shit, God's real. I'm the next Jesus, or whatever, you know. Not saying that you're not the next Jesus. But here we go. The spiritual blah, blah, blah. And preserve his mortal experience. You'd be translated. Okay, the glory and spiritual brilliance of the divine personality presence is impossible of approach by the lower spirit groups of spirit beings by any order of material personalities. The spiritual luminosity of the Father's personal presence is a light which no mortal man can approach, which no material creature has seen or can see. But we have the potential to be immortal and approach it, as they say. But it is not necessary to see God with the eyes of the flesh in order to discern him by the faith vision of the spiritualized mind. Okay, so you're getting your exact perfect amount of glimpsing God through your faith vision. You don't need to be in the presence of the Godhead, the central Godhead. It would blow you apart right now. That's why we have to ascend through world after world, life after life, to spiritualize ourselves, to be able to, you know, even contemplate that. The spirit nature of the universal Father is shared fully with his coexistent self, the eternal Son of Paradise. Both the Father and the Son, in like manner, share the universal and eternal Spirit fully and unreservedly with their conjoint personality coordinate, the infinite Spirit. God's Spirit is, in and of himself, absolute. The Son is unqualified in the Spirit, universal, and in and by all of them, infinite. Okay, so they were pointing out to the Trinity shares this as well. God is a universal spirit. God is the universal person. You see how much they're really trying to emphasize. Remember, repetition is the mother of learning. So when you really start to get a grasp, you won't question or think like, oh, well, there's God, but there's also Zeus, and there's Hera, and there's blah, blah, blah. You'll be like, oh, no, it's just God, and it's all of this. It's just the universal oneness, the universal person. The supreme personal reality of the finite creation is spirit. The ultimate reality of the personal cosmos is absonite spirit. Okay, so that's something that won't end. That's like an eternal thing. I believe it has beginnings but not endings. Only the levels of the infinity are absolute, and only on such levels is there finality of oneness between matter, mind, and spirit. Okay. This is so key. I want to spend just a minute talking about this because I get a lot of non-duality type of, you know, things. People say non-duality, I am not is just a concept. Everything's God or not God. It doesn't make a difference because it's all one thing. It's saying only on infinity and absolute such levels is there finality of oneness between matter, mind, and spirit. That's the level of your non-duality. So They're acknowledging that's correct. You're correct. All you non-duality people out there, you're correct. But on these other personal levels, there is a separation between personalities, notwithstanding that it's extremely important that they commune with each other and, have intimate relationships. And in fact, relationships are one of the most important things in the universe. But they're two different personalities. As in, I am not you. I'm sitting here in my room reading the Urantia book. You're in your room watching a video. It's too mental gymnasticy or abstract in order to try to force that absolute reality that we're talking is so transcendent and beyond, like, you can't even grasp how transcendent and beyond that is. And you're trying to force that into a mold of, I just went to work today and now I'm going to go to the 7-Eleven to get gas. I mean, come on, we got to deal with relative reality here, folks. And that's what this book does perfectly. It's saying, yeah, you're in a relative time-space, shadowy reality, but it's relatively real. Okay? So go with it. It's important. It's there for a reason. That's part of the creation for a reason. You're not just to abstractly transcend it and just whatever. Okay, so we made that point. Okay. In the universe's God the Father is in potential the over-controller of matter, right? Over-controller, okay? And mind and spirit, right? Only by the means of his far-flung personality circuit does God deal directly with the personalities of his vast creation of will creatures. But he is contactable outside of paradise only in the presence of his fragmented entities, the will of God abroad in the universes. The paradise spirit that indwells the minds of the mortals of time and there fosters the evolution of the immortals. Soul of the surviving creature is of the nature and divinity of the universal Father. Okay, that's the direct, it's the top dog. That's all about survival. But the minds of such evolutionary creatures originate in the local universes and must gain divine perfection by achieving those experiential transformations of spiritual attainment which are the inevitable result of a creature's choosing to do the will of the Father in heaven. Huge right there. The minds of such evolution originate in the local universe, as in you weren't floating around in paradise on a cloud saying, hey God, should I go down to earth? Can you put me down on earth? I got some work to do down. No, you originated. This is an evolutionary process. We are on the first stage of this ladder. Hence why we are such idiots. Okay? Why maybe not you, I don't know. My own personal life, or looking out, reading the newspaper, people bombing, all that type of stuff. Terrible, egregious, you think like a Netanyahu or any of those people, those warmongers, Putin's and them are like, oh, I think I'm floating around here in paradise. I think I got to go down to earth to do a little bit of work, killing innocent civilians. No, they originated here. They evolved from animals. They probably have really, really strange genetics too, for thousands of years or whatever. And so you could we started here. It's simple. Remember, man complicates, God simplifies. What a complicated thing to think that I had some sort of consultation with the divine in order to come here. No, my memory started at 4 years old, and that's where they start, 3 years old, and then that's where they carry on from. But that's saying we can evolve to much, much more than that. You're going to attain that. You're going to get back there. And how do you do it? By doing the will of the Father in heaven. I don't mean back as in you came from it, but you know what I mean. Okay. Now this is where it starts to get really juicy, so let's pay close attention to this. In the inner experience of man, mind is joined to matter. Such material-linked minds cannot survive mortal death. So they're acknowledging the scientific fact. Now remember, mind is joined to matter because we have this experience called thinking and thoughts, but it's a discrete realm from physical matter. However, they know that it originates in these synapses in our brains, but it's like if I think 4 + 4, it doesn't fall out of my ears and become like an object that I can touch. So, but mind is joined to matter because that's where all those electrical activities are taking place inside of the human brain. And but because of that, that mind can't survive mortal death. When that brain dies, that brain functioning dies. And you can even see that when you put you put a dead person on EKG, there's nothing there. The technique of survival is embraced in those adjustments of the human will and those transformations in the mortal mind whereby such a God-conscious intellect gradually becomes spirit-taught and eventually spirit-led. Okay, that is the technique of survival, folks. Spirit, exactly like what we're doing right now when we say, hey, I want to put my mind into this 2,000-page book about God rather than watching the political junkie stuff. This evolution of the human mind from matter association to spirit union results in the transmutation of the potentially spirit phases of the mortal mind into the Urantia realities of the immortal soul. Okay, Urantia, intervening gateway between man the material and man the spiritual. It's a phase that needs to take place. Think of it as like an evolutionary thing. You can't just jump right to spirit. It's too great of a gulf. So Urantia intervenes in between, right? But that's the spirit phases, okay? The Urantia realities of the immortal soul, okay? So that's the evolutionary aspect of you. The soul is your evolving aspect. That started when you started here on this planet, but it potentially is eternal. Soul isn't eternal. The spirit indwelling you is. The spirit, now going back to that other topic, the spirit did have a consultation with God, the mystery monitors and things on which human to dwell. They don't know about that. That's why they call them mystery monitors. But there's a lot. That thing did come from God to you, and it probably chose you for a reason. Mortal mind, subservient to matter, is destined to become increasingly material, and consequently to suffer eventual personality extinction. Mind yielded to spirit is destined to become increasingly spiritual, and ultimately to achieve oneness with the surviving and guiding divine spirit, and in this way to attain survival and eternity of personality existence. So right there, that is where it's wrapped up in your personality existence. Okay? Or I'm sorry, your personality existence is wrapped up in becoming increasingly spiritual. I come forth from the eternal, and I have repeatedly returned to the presence of the universal Father. I know of the actuality and personality of the first source and center and eternal and universal Father. I know that while the great God is absolute, eternal, and infinite, he is also good, divine, gracious. I know the truth of the great declarations, God is spirit and God is love, and these two attributes are most completely revealed to the universe in the eternal Son. Okay. This being has been in the actual, he has attained, who is this? Let's see. This is a divine counselor, okay? So she has attained the personal presence. But, they weren't originating here on one of these lowly planets, and but many have or originating from lowly planets. They call them finalators, and I can't think of the other term right now. But anyways, we have pages and pages about it. So there it is, folks. That is, God is a universal spirit, right? And what's the most fitting takeaway? It dwells within you. It's your choice whether or not you want to choose with it. If not, you can't survive. How could you survive? We know, and we just know that you just don't survive. Your personality doesn't survive. Now, from a Buddhist perspective, you know how the Buddhists say that they're just Atman and Hindus, and it just returns into this ether type thing? Well, that's true. That is absolutely true if you don't embrace your faith walk, and your personality survival being wrapped into that faith walk. So they're 100% right. I can't deny that at all. That's going to happen to those who don't embrace that. But that, hopefully, isn't you and I. It's definitely not me. I know it's not me. I've already made that choice, but hopefully not you either. But thanks, folks, for checking out the videos. Please like and subscribe. And we will see you next time, and take care until then.